Malcolm, just talk about how you guys have progressed defensively, and I know a lot of times in certain situations, I feel like the defense needs to step up, but I think you guys obviously like being in the position to influence the game and win it at the end. So what is that feeling like these last few games where you guys really seem to have stepped it up?
Yeah, I think, every week our confidence is growing. I think we execute. We're executing very well. We're playing a lot faster, playing more physical. And obviously the team will need us to do that as we move forward. But for us, it's just about, each week improving from where we were last week. I don't think we started where we wanted to at the beginning of the season, but we understand that, it's a long season and we want to finish out, where we want to be. So I think we're building there. I still think we still got a long way to go. But the next few weeks, especially this week, will be a big test for us.
Next question is from Luke Johnson.
Malcolm, as you've gotten to spend a little bit more time with him, what's the thing that really stands out to you about CJ Gardner-Johnson as a player, as a teammate, all this stuff, all the above?
I mean, he's an instinctual player. Like, you don't have to teach him. You can't teach him half the stuff that he does. Very physical at the nickel position, can cover wide receivers, can play in the box and play the run, can blitz and do everything. So him being a versatile player is I think helps us tremendously as a defense, and I think the mental part of the game is starting to come along as well. You can tell the game is a lot slower for him now. He's playing a lot faster. He's not thinking that much, making a lot less mistakes than he made early, last year in his rookie year. So that's the type of development you want to see from a young player. And I think right now sky's the limit. He's playing a lot of good football for us right now. It's a big reason why we're having success on defense.
When you were watching the film from the 49ers game, I mean, what stood out from that performance in particular? It looked like he was kind of just active from the very beginning and kind of impacting the game in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, I think, like you said, he impacted the game in a bunch of different ways. We started out the game with a blitz with the nickel. He got home, tackled for loss, and we kept going to the same play, and he's getting pressure on the quarterback every time. He's making tackles in a run. He's got a pass deflection. Sack, and when you're having that kind of production and being as disruptive as he is, he put them in a lot of negative plays, and that's what you want to see from a young nickel, player, somebody who can get in the game and be disruptive. And Dennis Allen kept calling his number because he was hot.
Next question is from Nick Underhill.
Aaron Glenn always ends up on those lists when people talk about coaches that could be due for a promotion. What do you see from just being around him that could make him a possible defensive coordinator, and what makes him good in his role that he's in right now?
Yeah, I think his ability, one, to understand scheme and understand different tools that can work week to week, to be able to change and modify coverages. His ability to teach the coverage is something I think is underrated in this league. We don't have a lot of teachers, and he's one of them. Somebody who can relate to the players and actually take what is on the chalkboard and apply it to on field. For a player to actually grasp it on the field. Most people have you have position coaches that can teach you the scheme or only teach you technique, and he has a great understanding, having been a former player and done it at a high level. He can teach you the minute details of your technique, but also teach you the broader scheme and how everything works with the X's and O's. So I think he's definitely one of those coaches that is in the consideration for promotions. I know the little bit of time that I've had with him, he's definitely made me better in the areas of my game that I'm not most comfortable in. And I've been 12 years in the league, and I haven't had a coach like that. So I'm appreciative to be in the same room as him.
What were those areas you weren't comfortable with that he helped you with?
Yeah, I think myself, like as a deep player, I don't really enjoy being on the deep end of the field. I like to be in the mix. Quarters coverage is usually not something that I'm really great at, but we play a lot of it. And this is the first time that I actually feel like I've got the coverage and understand it and feel like I can make plays. And a lot of that has come just the conversations he and I have had throughout the offseason, obviously during the season, just continuing to add little pieces to my game.
Next question is from Amos Brown.
Yeah, kind of following up on that, I think it was last week you mentioned that as the season's gone on, you personally felt more comfortable in the defense. I guess what are some of the areas that kind of illustrate that or demonstrate that? Yeah, I feel more comfortable.
Yeah, I think it's just, for me, I am one of those players. I like to be in the mix, and just the way that the personnel that we have. You got C.J. Gardner who's doing what he's doing. You got corners that can cover. Sometimes it's just better for us to play split safety defense and not, for me to be down, and that means that I'm less active. But I still got to find a way to impact the game, and I think that's the area for me that I've had to improve and adjust being in this defense. And it's always been a struggle for me, but it's come on in the last few weeks, and I think a big part of that is Aaron Glenn.
Next question is from Mike Triplett.
Malcolm, I know you weren't on the team last year when they went 5-0 without Drew Brees, but you were on a lot of teams that were sort of defined by the Saints are about the offense. Is there like extra pride in just human nature and being able to go out there and prove that this team can win because of its defense, even when it doesn't have Drew Brees in the game?
Well, I mean, you only got to go prove it if you don't believe it yourself. For me, I don't feel like we have to do anything different. Every time we step on the field, we want to compete and do our best as a defense. We want to be disruptive. We want to take the ball away and give our team the best chance that we can to win, and that is no different with or with Drew Brees on the field. So I think the biggest thing for us is not to go and try to overcompensate or try to go outside of ourselves to make up something. The guys we got on the field are more than capable to go out and execute, and we got to trust that and just do our part and do our jobs.
Next one's from Rod Walker.
Hey, Malcolm, you've been a part of Eagles-Cowboys, that rivalry, and this one, obviously. But what makes this one different, or is this one different, Saints and Falcons?
I think it's different. I think they're very similar, but, even it's one of those things where it's not just the two teams, right? It's the two cities. It's the fan base. Everybody kind of circles these games, and they always end up being interesting, regardless of what the records are, regardless of where it is in the season. Whether it's home and away, it's always one of those interesting games that has some historic battles. And obviously, Saints-Falcons has, and especially here in New Orleans, it just has a different ring to it. And I think players understand that. I know I do, and have been a part of these battles. But that's what makes it fun. That's what keeps this rivalry going.
Next one's from Andrew Dope.
Malcolm, kind of going off of the question from a couple questions ago, in 2017 with the Eagles, the attitude that you guys created, though, as a team whenever Foles took over as quarterback was something special. And I think a lot of people doubted that team. I mean, how do you feel like you recreate that type of attitude maybe with the Saints here and just make it kind of a force to be reckoned with, if you will? I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but
yeah. I mean, I think the circumstances are a little bit different. I think at that point in 2017, we had won 13 games, and with a number one seed, and suddenly nobody gave us a chance to win a game. So, we took on that whole underdog mentality and kind of went on a run. But I think where we are right now, with the midpoint of the season, with a lot of football left to be played, for us is just blocking out. To me, the message is block out, what everybody wants to say. Everybody's going to, assume what they want, but we understand the mission that we're on, and that's regardless of who's on the field. It doesn't change. It's just about adjusting, stepping up, and doing your job. And for us, we've always been focused on the process all year. You don't let events like this change the process. And so that's really the message that I have for the guys, is just go out and play. We don't have to do anything special. We believe that we have the locker room and the personnel and the coaches to get the job done. So let's just go do our jobs and look forward to the competition.
was there a unique rallying cry like within the team at that point, or do you feel like because you had already won so many games, nothing really had to be talked about that?
We had one conversation that was in the we played the Rams when he got hurt, and then in the locker room after that, it was just like that was the message. Like, look, we worked this hard with one goal in mind, and that goal doesn't change because somebody got hurt. We still got to do what we got to do to get where we're going, and we can do it. And from that point, we didn't have to have a bunch of conversations about it. We just went to work.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, off the field question from me. Now that y'all are more than halfway through your season-long project with the roundtables that highlight the intersectional isms that Black women face, what have been some of your the takeaways from those conversations for you so far?
Yeah, I mean, we covered so many different topics from, how black women are treated in our healthcare system, to domestic violence, to, black women in media, and how we can be allies. And I think that the biggest thing that we see, especially as men who are looked up to by other young men and young boys, is that we have an opportunity to really change the narrative and change the behaviors of the next generation. And so as we were kind of learning for ourselves how we can be better allies, how we can be better men towards women, especially black women, especially in our spaces, the sports realm, whether it be journalists or anybody that works with us, I think it's going to be important for us to relay that message down to the next generation and include that, in the same type of mentoring spaces that we usually occupy. We have to start talking to young men, young black men, about how to respect and treat and protect black women.
Last one's from Brent Martell.
Hey, Malcolm. Almost want to apologize after the depth of that last answer to go back to football here, but I have on going back to you talking about your increasing comfort. Is there any correlation? You've entered interceptions, I think, each of the last 2 games. Is there any correlation between your growing comfort in the defense and that, and do you kind of envisioning or sensing more opportunities in this defense for you to do stuff like that?
Well, I definitely think that there's going to be more opportunities. I feel like I'm an instinctual player who gets around the ball a lot. For me, it's usually, it's just coming in a different, space. So instead of everything being up close and personal, there's blitzes or covering man-to-man, when there's opportunities, each week we have a different plan to feel like. Sometimes I'll be up close to in the box, sometimes I'm deep. And so it's just those times where we are playing split safety. For me, patience is always, a thing that I have to be reminded of. Working my eyes, make sure that I'm not being too aggressive, trying to make plays, and being patient, making the plays that have come. And I think, myself and AG have worked really hard on that over the last few weeks, and something that I'm definitely getting a lot more comfortable with. And he's showing me how to really, be a playmaker on the back end when I'm doing things that might be outside of my comfort zone.
That wraps it up.